Number one, we've got Mel Kiper going full scorched earth on the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders, Baker Mayfield, all of it. Everything to do with the quarterback situation that is a freaking disaster for the Cleveland Browns. We know Mel Kiper, ride or die with Shedeur Sanders. I mean, he had him as a first-round quarterback. Now, I know Todd McShay, I think, had him as a second-round quarterback. And I do have something involving McShay and Mel Kiper. I heard this morning. When I was in the gym getting a lift, I was listening to Todd's podcast, I believe from Thursday, where he spilled the tea on why we're not getting what we'd like to see. And, of course, what we'd like to see is...
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. You ever watch a moment on live TV and just freeze? Like, wait, did he actually say that? That's what happened when Mel Kiper went scorched earth on Kevin Stefanski. It wasn't some clickbait hot take or random sideline rant. This was Mel Kiper Jr., the face of NFL draft credibility, unloading years of pent-up frustration on one of the most stubborn franchises in football. And for once, the internet didn't overreact, because deep down, every football fan watching knew he wasn't wrong. When a guy like Mel snaps like that, it means something's been boiling for a long time. This is the same dude who spent decades defending front offices, analyzing tape, and finding the logic behind every move. But this time, he called it what it was. Not player development, not coaching strategy, but flat-out career sabotage. And that's when every fan who's ever watched a talented quarterback waste away in Cleveland felt it in their gut. Because we've seen this movie before. The Browns are supposed to be rebuilding, reinventing, or trusting the process, whatever corporate label they want to slap on mediocrity this season. But every few years, it's the same cycle. A promising QB walks in, the city gets hype, the coach swears this is the guy, and then within a season or two, it all collapses. The fan base is left holding the receipts, wondering how another can't-miss prospect just disappeared. That's why Mel's rant hit so hard. He wasn't just defending Shedeur Sanders. He was defending every quarterback who's ever been fed to the wolves under the banner of development, and when he dropped Baker Mayfield's name, it stung, because Baker was winning. He had them in the playoffs. He had the city believing, and Cleveland still tossed him aside like he was the problem. Now here we are again. Same organization, same culture, same we know better attitude. Mel's words didn't come from emotion alone. They came from pattern recognition. Cleveland has finished last in their division 15 times since 2002. That's not bad luck. That's institutional failure. That's what happens when ego runs your playbook. And you can hear it in Mel's voice, the exhaustion, the disbelief. It's not just about Shedeur, it's about the system. A system that keeps failing young quarterbacks while selling fans on next year. Every time a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Baker Mayfield gets caught in that mess, it chips away at the belief that talent actually matters more than politics in this league. But here's where it gets real. If Mel's right, Shedeur isn't just walking into a tough rookie season. He's walking into a setup, a franchise still split between front office and coaching staff. A locker room still haunted by ghosts of almosts. But if Mel's wrong, then maybe, just maybe, this is the year Cleveland finally turns the corner. Maybe the Browns actually prove everyone wrong. So the question hanging over all of this is simple. Is Mel Kiper exposing another Cleveland disaster before it happens? Or has he underestimated a team finally ready to rewrite its story? Because if he's right, Shedeur's career could be the next one on the chopping block. But if he's wrong, this could be the moment Cleveland finally breaks its curse. Either way, every fan watching knows one thing for sure. The Browns just got put on notice. You can tell right away when a quarterback's style just doesn't match his surroundings. The cadence is off. The rhythm feels forced. You can see it in the tape. Great talent dropped into the wrong blueprint. And that's the feeling hanging over Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland right now. Look, Shedeur isn't some random prospect. The kid's resume speaks for itself. Sharp footwork, elite pocket control, a calmness under pressure that feels years beyond his age. He's not reckless, he's calculated. He reads the field like a surgeon, trusts his mechanics, and when the play breaks down, he doesn't panic, he creates. That's what made him special at Colorado. That's what made scouts label him as NFL ready. But what happens when NFL ready meets a system that doesn't actually fit what you do best? Kevin Stefanski's offense isn't designed for chaos or creativity. It's about structure, scripted plays, clean timing windows. It's run-heavy, play-action-based football built to protect the quarterback and lean on the line. That's fine for a Kirk Cousins. That's perfect for a Dylan Gabriel type. A quick read, rhythm passer who follows the playbook to the letter. But Shedeur, he's a rhythm creator. He's a guy who thrives on momentum, feel, and freedom. You take that away, and you take away what makes him dangerous. And here's where the real tension starts to build. Because this wasn't even Stefanski's guy. Reports say he wanted his own quarterback, his own prototype. The front office overrode him. Andrew Berry saw Shedeur's potential and said, "We're taking him." And that one move changed everything. Because when a coach doesn't handpick his quarterback, you're already fighting uphill. It's the silent curse of the NFL. The coach didn't pick him effect. We've seen it ruin careers before. Look back at Josh Rosen in Arizona or Zach Wilson in New York. The coach didn't believe in them from day one, so every mistake became proof they weren't the guy. It's not development, it's slow dismissal. Every throw, every misread gets nitpicked because the coach's loyalty lies elsewhere. And now you can't help but wonder if Shedeur is walking into that exact same setup. Now, I'm not saying Stefanski's the villain here. He's a solid coach. He's been through quarterback chaos before, from Baker to Deshaun to backups filling in on short notice. But that's exactly the point. He's seen too many projects fail under his watch to take another risk. So what happens when a creative, outspoken, confident young quarterback meets a play caller who's tired of failed experiments? This isn't about talent, it's about trust. Stefanski didn't pick him. The front office did. And now both sides are staring at each other across the locker room, hoping the other one blinks first. That's not how you build a foundation. That's how you build tension. So here's the question that's eating at every Browns fan right now. Is Shedeur Sanders walking into sabotage or just a system nobody knows how to handle? Because either way, one thing's clear. Cleveland's quarterback curse isn't just about bad luck anymore. It's about bad alignment. And if they don't fix that fast, this story's going to end exactly how Mel Kiper predicted. Another promising career stuck in a system that never fit. You know what's wild? How fast the NFL can turn a confident player into a problem. 1 month, a guy's being praised for leadership, composure, and maturity. The next, he's being called difficult, arrogant, or unprofessional. And that's exactly what happened to Shedeur Sanders in the months leading up to the draft. Every rumor, every whisper, it all started to snowball. Stories about him walking out of team interviews, not showing up for certain meetings, being too controlling about where he wanted to go. The headlines made him sound entitled, but you dig a little deeper, and it starts to look a lot less like ego and a lot more like self-preservation. Because let's be real, the NFL loves control. They want players who fit into the system, who smile, shake hands, say yes, sir to every coach, and quietly accept whatever situation they're dropped into. They reward obedience, not independence. The moment a player tries to steer his own path, suddenly he's hard to work with. But think about Shedeur's perspective. He grew up watching what bad organizations do to talented quarterbacks. He's seen how fast a team can chew you up and spit you out. You think Deion Sanders, a man who's lived through every level of this game, didn't teach his son to recognize that? So when Shedeur and Deion started making it clear they didn't want to go just anywhere, that wasn't arrogance. That was strategy. That was a father trying to protect his son from the graveyards of the NFL, the franchises that ruin more careers than they build. And you can call it bold, you can call it risky, but you can't call it blind, because history backs them up. How many first-round quarterbacks have we seen get destroyed by dysfunction? From Josh Rosen to Sam Darnold to David Carr, the list is long, and Cleveland's been on it more than once. But instead of understanding that, the league sent a message. Play our game, or we'll make you pay. They let his draft stock slide, not because of performance, Shedeur's tape was clean, but because he dared to take some control. It's like the NFL wanted to remind everyone, we make the rules here. And honestly, that's what makes this story so frustrating. The same people who preach character are often the ones punishing confidence. And that's where Mel Kiper's words hit even harder. When he said organizations ruin quarterbacks, he wasn't exaggerating. He was exposing a culture, one where players are expected to trust teams that have proven time and time again they can't be trusted. Shedeur didn't want to fall into that trap. He didn't want to be another name fans talk about 5 years from now as the guy who had potential but landed in the wrong spot. So yeah, maybe Shedeur and Dion could have played it safer. Maybe they could have smiled for the cameras and gone through the motions. But that's not who they are. They've always done things their own way. And now that approach has brought Shedeur to the very team they tried to avoid, the Cleveland Browns. The same organization Mel Kiper accused of burying quarterbacks. So here's the twist. This draft wasn't just about selecting a quarterback. It was about control, power, perception, and whether the NFL system could break a player who refused to bend. The Browns didn't just draft Shedeur Sanders. They drafted a statement. Now they've got to prove they can handle it. There's something bigger going on here than just football drama. You can feel it. This story doesn't stop at Cleveland or even at Mel Kiper's rant. Because behind the scenes, another storm has been brewing, and it's not about X's and O's. It's about control. When Todd McShay came out and said ESPN won't let him and Mel Kiper appear together on any platform, that wasn't just some petty behind-the-scenes beef. That was a peek behind the curtain. A reminder that the sports world we see on TV isn't always as honest as it looks. Two of the best draft analysts in the business, guys who built their entire reputations off going toe-to-toe on live TV, suddenly can't share a screen? Come on, that's not coincidence. That's censorship with a smile. Because let's be real, when you separate two guys who challenge each other, who speak freely, who don't follow the company script, you're not protecting brand integrity. You're protecting the narrative. ESPN doesn't want the old chemistry back because the old chemistry was real. It was unscripted, unpredictable, and unfiltered. Mel and McShay used to argue, expose front offices, question picks. They gave fans the truth, even when it made the league uncomfortable. And you can't have that kind of authenticity when corporate media wants control over every word. That's what McShay meant when he called it petty. He wasn't just talking about ego. He was talking about the system, a system where voices that don't fit the network's agenda quietly disappear, replaced by safer, smoother personalities who'll never rock the boat. It's the same system that shapes how stories about players, like Shedeur Sanders, get told. Think about it. When Shedeur's name started trending before the draft, what did we hear? Attitude issues, bad interviews, too much Dion influence. But did we ever hear why he felt that way? Did anyone talk about how he was trying to avoid dysfunctional franchises or protect his brand from being ruined by a bad fit? No, because that version doesn't sell. That version doesn't fit the league-approved image. So instead, the narrative shifts. The confident kid becomes cocky. The outspoken dad becomes overbearing. And this is where the ESPN story connects directly back to Cleveland, because the same media machine that twists Shedeur's story is the same one that silences the people calling it out. Mel Kiper torches the Browns for how they treat quarterbacks, and suddenly he's too emotional, out of touch, doing too much. Todd McShay questions the process, and he's cut out of the picture entirely. That's not random. That's reputation management on a corporate level. This isn't about airtime. It's about control. Who gets to tell the story and who gets buried under it? The NFL and its media partners have become experts at controlling perception. And the more control they have, the less truth fans actually get. But here's the thing they can't control: performance. They can twist stories, edit segments, and block analysts, but they can't stop what happens on the field. And right now, that's where Shedeur Sanders comes in. Because while all these networks and narratives are fighting for control, there's still one kid, just 22 years old, trying to write his own story in the middle of all this noise. And if he plays his cards right, if he stays focused, he could turn this entire circus into motivation. Because nothing breaks the system faster than a player who can't be silenced by it. Let's be honest, Cleveland's history with quarterbacks isn't just bad, it's legendary bad. It's a full-blown curse. From Tim Couch to Johnny Manziel, from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson. It feels like every few years the Browns hit the reset button, swear they've finally found the guy, and then watch it all crumble by mid-season. This city has seen more quarterback jerseys replaced than playoff wins. That's the reality. That's the mountain Shedeur Sanders is about to climb. But here's the thing about Shedeur. He's never been scared of mountains. He's been climbing them his whole life. Pressure isn't new to him. It's the background noise of his story. From being Deion's son to leading a program that most people counted out, he's been under the microscope since day one. Every throw, every game, every quote gets dissected, twisted, and turned into a headline. And yet somehow he never cracks. He stays cool, calm, laser-focused. That's the part people overlook about Shedeur Sanders. The poise. You can't teach that. You can't fake it. When the pocket collapses, when the cameras crowd him, when the critics get loud, he doesn't flinch. He adjusts, he adapts, and that's exactly what he's going to have to do in Cleveland, because if any team in the NFL tests your patience, your confidence, and your identity, it's this one. Now, Mel Kiper said something powerful. Organizations ruin quarterbacks. And he's not wrong. We've watched it happen for decades. But maybe, just maybe, this is the story that flips that narrative. Maybe Cleveland doesn't ruin Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Shedeur Sanders fixes Cleveland. Maybe he becomes the one who refuses to be a casualty of dysfunction. Because think about who he is and where he comes from. This is a kid coached by a Hall of Famer who's built on discipline, vision, and faith. Deion Sanders didn't raise his sons to fold under pressure. He raised them to own pressure. And you can see that in the way Shedeur carries himself, the way he commands the huddle, the way he embraces the chaos instead of running from it. He's not just playing quarterback. He's changing energy when he walks into a room. Cleveland doesn't need a savior. It needs a stabilizer. Someone who won't get caught in the noise. Someone who can take the dysfunction, the criticism, the weight of 2 decades of disappointment, and still deliver. And if Shedeur can be that guy, if he can rise above the system that's broken so many before him, he won't just prove Mel Kiper right. He'll prove something way bigger. That even in the NFL's most toxic environments, real leadership and real talent still win. It's a long road ahead. The media is already split. The fan base is cautious. The pressure is suffocating. But the great ones, they don't wait for perfect situations. They create them. And that's what Shedeur has the chance to do. So now it's your turn. Do you believe Shedeur can survive the Cleveland curse? Can he rewrite the story, or will he become another name in the long, painful list of what-ifs? Drop your thoughts below, because this story's just getting started. And something tells me we're all about to witness history.